Hello, hello, welcome into the LCS Challengers League. I am Magical, joined in by Bald Man himself. It is Kangas. That's how I always have to introduce you. Sorry, Steve. It's just always how it goes. As well as the golf man himself, Cubby. How are you doing?
I'm glad that we can boil each other down to a single personality trait, Crazy Man.
I mean, that's the whole point, right? We got the Crazy Man, the Bald Man, golf fan. Easy. Perfect.
Magical,
done.
we got to work on your intros, though, because they're getting a little trash. There we go. There we go. I used it.
That was like the worst use of it, too. I'm so disappointed in you.
Yeah, but I got to warm up to it. You know, they get better as they go throughout the day.
Yeah, do better later today. How about that? I like that production
I really wish you had just saved it, though, because now it's spoiled, so next time you use it, it'll just be like,
Nobody
okay.
watches the first 2 minutes of our show, okay? They get the notification, then they come in like an hour later.
All right, hold on.
This is a test. Calling people out right now. Jeez.
This is a test.
We're going to have to put out on Twitter, how fast did it take for Mad Magical to call Kangas bald today? And that's how we test it.
I got the hashtag NICL at Path
So if you're
LCS.
watching early,
There you go.
Count it
That's
up.
good.
We got it all ready for us. All right, but enough of that. We got to get ready for our action-packed day today. Lots of fun games that we'll have played today, but, you know, getting all the introductions in, well, that's coming up later. We'll see that. That'll be our first series of the day.
I got to ask, Cubby, are you going to lose internet today? Are you stable? Are you safe?
Dude, don't do that. Don't do that, please. It was a tough day
Steve,
yesterday.
okay, hold on. No.
Uh-huh.
Because Cubby lost internet yesterday, that means you have to lose internet today, Steve.
No, that's not how this works. No,
that's how this works.
I don't like this plan. I know that
I like this plan. It's a good plan.
Selfishly, you want to cast the games because we got really good games on the stream today. But I gotta say,
yeah, we have great
I have not casted some of these teams in quite a while. I'm very excited to see the matchups. So sorry, Magical. My internet is actually hardwired directly to Riot Games servers, so I'm actually in tournament realm right now.
I mean, honestly, Riot's a better ISP than I have, so you know that's good.
All right, but you know what? We've had a lot of fun as well with the community. So let's take a look at some of the fun tweets that we've had about maybe some of the fun that we had with the internet issues with the rain. You know, LA doesn't know how to handle rain. There were some hail pockets as well as I think some snow in LA, which is actually kind of wild to me.
The infrastructure is not built for rain, and honestly, I feel like this is the curse that we got for getting all the NACL casters in LA. Pour one out for Beatdown and Sierra, the Canadians, who unfortunately could not make it. But everyone else is here now, so they brought the rain with them. Cubby, I blame you.
What?
I blame Cubby too. Yeah, I blame Cubby as well.
I'm from Chicago. It's all rainy over there.
Actually, wait, Josh too. He's from Seattle.
He's from Seattle.
Actually,
yep.
Josh brought the rain. Actually.
Yeah.
I will
say. Then again, it snowed, so we can blame you for that one.
I will say, send Eric your energy, as he is still without power. So that sucks.
It's been, he's gotten the worst.
And also, I will say, the biggest mystery since I moved here to LA was how this city even functions, like on a day-to-day basis. I have absolutely no idea.
That's the secret. That's
how
the neat
things
part.
don't just burn to the ground every day. It really is the greatest mystery I've ever encountered in life.
All right, but let's check out the next tweet. We got more tweets here from the community as well. You know, Ray, I like this. Golden Guardians, I was calling them the dark horse yesterday, but Cubby kept correcting me, saying they're no longer the dark horse. They are third place by themselves.
And you know what, Matt Magical? I'm going to do that again today. This team seems legit to me, and they have a really good test at the end of the day today as they're going to be going up against Dignitas. So, Golden Guardians, I mean, if they want to prove they are the real deal, great chance to do so in the back half of today.
This is why I was also talking about Steve, where I want to unplug your internet because you get that series at the end of the day.
Yes, that is a great series. They have a kind of tough schedule, but also a manageable schedule, I'd say, because it's Dignitas. That's their hardest opponent left. After that, though, next week they have FlyQuest Challengers and Wild Card, which currently they're about the standings in. It's not the best end of split schedule, but I think it could be worse. We'll see if they still can finish third.
I think we have one more tweet that we can get through here for our community tweets, so we can talk about FlyFam picking up another win. Let's go, Collimer. I like this, you know, calling out and saying FlyFam. They did pick up that second victory of this split, so congrats out to them.
This is one person that I think probably did catch the ball joke at the top of show. So this is one person I believe would watch the beginning of our show.
So maybe he'll have the hashtag NICL at Path.
I mean, they definitely watching it now since his team's out. So and also OQs are over. So you know. But hey, with that said, With that said, the funny part about that tweet was that they literally won the next game. And FlyFam did look a lot better yesterday.
They did.
They did.
But then he retweeted about CLG, Faith, and then they didn't.
That was too far. That was not the double down that you were looking for. They got some. It was close, but they have some work to do still.
We'll see. Yeah. But we still have, it's getting close to the end of the split, the derby, as we like to call it. We have a little video that you guys put together. We're at the final stretch, so let's take a listen.
Welcome to the first ever Challengers League Derby. And they're off. CLG leaps out of the gate with a strong start. Their new jockey copy really is showing the rest of the race how it's done. Provisional teams have clumped up towards the back, but Fear bucking the trend and jumps out to the front of the pack. But stack the deck. Wildcard gallops to join the leaders. Hold on. We're starting to see some separation now as we see a burst of speed coming up from FlyQuest. Only they can maintain. Never mind. Dignitas has cemented themselves in the lead with Cincinnati Fear, Wildcard, and Cloud9 not far behind. What's this? Cloud9 is changing jockeys in the middle of the race. Menace hops off and Diplex pops on. I have never seen anything like this in my decades of commentating horse races. And it might be just what they needed. They're neck and neck for the lead as they push into the final stretch.
I feel bad.
What's that? Why is that?
I didn't have Golden Guardians
I was just about to say. The one thing that we're missing there is Golden Guardians surging.
Yeah. Okay, so we wrote the script for that. Joshi wrote the script and sent me the VO for it before any games this weekend, obviously. So this was based on the narratives from week 1 up to this point. We kind of tried to go through that chronological order, but that's the biggest regret I have is I should have had Golden Guardians in that final frame there.
Well, let's take a look at the standings so we can kind of illustrate that a little bit more, because going into this week, they were 13-7. They've gone 4-0 so far in this weekend. So they have completely climbed up, surpassing both Fear, Wildcard, who had tied themselves at 3rd, and then also Team Liquid Challengers, who found themselves tied at 4th.
And beyond that, it's not just this past weekend. Because if we're being honest, this past weekend, so far they haven't been tested too much. Evil Geniuses was their stiffest competition. But before that, they had FlyFam on Saturday. So it's not like the craziest weekend for them so far. If they can continue, though, because Dignitas did show that they're fallible. They dropped a game yesterday against Team Liquid Challengers. Golden Guardians picking up even a win against Dignitas here would be a huge success story for them.
Yeah, it would be a big success story to say that they're beating the second place team.
Also, I just got to bring up the fact that we are kicking off the day with C9C versus Cincinnati Fear.
You're jumping the gun. You're jumping the gun. I was going to bring that up in just a bit.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm excited for it now, Matt Magical, so you're going to have to sue me. But the fact that we have a provisional team in Fear, who I've really credited, much like Wildcard, I think Wildcard's gotten the majority of the credit for playing their own style. That's been Fear as well. I think the Fear's had some really good reads, especially against Wildcards. They found that big 2-0 earlier this week. And I want to see if C9 can have the right approach to Cincinnati Fear, because this is a provisional team, but they've earned the respect of the league, and I really hope that our top dogs can prep for them the way that I think Fear needs to be prepped for, taking away some of the Seraphine comps, the Olaf as well, and then making sure that you were not giving them the ability to play sides and play from there.
Also, shout outs to FlyFam picking up another win on the board. They got 2 on the board, baby. Let's go.
Hey, I like seeing provisional teams, because the whole idea of provisional team, we'll keep talking about this even though we're getting towards the final stretches, is that they have a different identity built around them, especially when you look at FlyFam and CLG Faith. They're about getting these players experience, all that. But let's look at what we have today, because we don't have those teams playing on our stream. Instead, like Cubby was saying, he jumped the gun on that one. We start off with quite the banger. Cloud9 Challengers versus Cincinnati Fear, then FlyQuest Challengers up against Team Liquid Honda Challengers, and rounded out with the 2nd and 3rd place teams of Dignitas Challengers and Golden Guardians Challengers.
Matt Magical, we had loaded games this week. We had 6 Challenger teams playing on Challengers League yesterday.
It was awesome.
Today, we have 5 Challenger teams. Everyone's in the top half of the standings, except for FlyQuest, who had a resounding 2-0 yesterday over 100 Thieves. And then the one professional team we have is Fear. They're 16-8 in this league, so banger games on the Path to LCS stream today. Kangas, glad you can join us.
I will say, before giving it over to Kangas, we even got to talk about FlyQuest really quick, because that was a completely different look from FlyQuest, just bringing in win some. So now we have to start talking about this team as possibly being one of, the new dark horse of the end of the season, because how good they looked yesterday.
It's hurting my dark horse, which I had being 100 Thieves. Ever since Unforgiven got his pentakill, I was like, all right, 100 Thieves are going to, like, soar up through the standings. That's why in that Derby video, we had them actually sneaking their way into the final frame throughout the race. But now FlyQuest took them down a peg and looked like they could be that dark horse coming up. So that's why it's always fun to just track who's hot at what time in the season, because going into playoffs is where you want to be peaking. You want to be hitting your stride around that point, because that's where the standings actually matter. For now, it's just seeding.
Oh, I argue it doesn't even matter going into the end of the season.
Matters,
No. All that matters is that you peak
two very
in
different narratives.
you do good in playoffs, because all teams will make it to playoffs. If you can perform in playoffs, who cares how you did it in the regular season? You just showed up and you're like, I beat everybody. It doesn't matter. It's
like momentum helps.
You know what can help you do well in playoffs?
What's that?
Better seeding and being a better team throughout the regular season.
But does it look as good? Does it look as flashy?
All right.
Just saying.
Well, okay. That's
Magical
fair.
is just, he's got so much faith. He wants to see the CLG faith 16th to first narrative in playoffs.
No, it's the second seed curse.
Hey,
that's what we have. It's always the second seed.
It is worth noting that last spring we had 100 Thieves Challenger or Academy back then, who had the worst second round robin in the league and ended up taking second. So you never know what can happen.
Yes, it's true. But we got to talk about what we have planned for today, starting off with quite the bangers of Cincinnati Fear versus Cloud9 Challengers. Let's look at the roster of Cincinnati Fear. We are very excited about this team because they have upset so many expectations, Kangas.
How do we not have photos of them yet also? They live in California.
It's a work in progress. My people got in touch with their people. I heard they sent them in. Hopefully next week.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to get them over to the Castor Cabana on the green screen.
We hung out with them, Kangas. You and I went to the gym with them. We should have just gotten pictures when we were there.
I could just take stills from the video we got. Yeah, we still need to publish that one. We haven't quite got to that point. But Cincinnati Fear are an exciting team for many reasons. One of them that I love talking about is how scrappy they are as a team, from the gameplay to just their entire structure. These are just 5 guys, high elo players that moved to California, spending pretty much all of their monthly stipend on rent, on food, and just grinding out League of Legends games. This is as close to like the old 2015, 2016 Challenger League stories, or Challenger Series back when it was called that you could possibly get.
I'm thinking back to 2013, back when it was the original Assault League. Way back.
This is that grassroots esports stuff.
And I think that for some of these players, they've really taken advantage of it. I especially want to highlight Manui. When I looked at this team coming into the league, I was confident that we'd see Faisal and Perry perform and be at a challenger's level. I wasn't confident with Manui, but he has improved so much this split. He's playing really good league with Trevor, and they're going to have their hands full today going up against who I think is the best bot lane in the league.
Best bot lane, but also our best team currently in Cloud9 Challengers. Even with Diplex stepping in for M&S going up into the LCS, Diplex has put up insane numbers so far. Sure, it's only 4 games, so it's hard to really quantify that, but I think he's only died 4 times in those 4 games, 3 of them in 1 game.
Yeah, I got a couple of useless stats for Diplex
what do you got?
in his first 4 games. 100% win rate in Challengers.
Okay, well, 4-0.
Doing 32.6% of the team's damage over 4 games. Number 1 in average damage per minute. He's got 961 damage per minute, and also he's averaging a 1,035 goal differential at 15. Again, only in 2 series. He was up against TSM Challengers, so Doxa, and then Team Liquid first. Aspect, Doxa, not going to be the mid laners that are really pushing that gold at 15 stat back, but still, Diplex has had a great performance so far.
And looking at Cloud9, like, we got to take a look at these clips and just kind of see where they've had a lot of power. Every one of their lanes is incredibly powerful. And this is where I think it's going to be difficult for Cincinnati Fear, a team that likes to play more about these team fights. Cloud9 just get early advantages and use that to completely wail away on people with their wallets.
I mean, that is it, but I really think that the special part about this team has been their bot lane. I think Lost and Zazel are playing so damn well. Now with Tomo being promoted to LCS, I think these guys are the bot lane to beat in this league. And again, it's going to be a great test for Manui and Trevor to see how far along they've come, because these are the guys that it feels like they haven't missed a beat from their prime. Whenever Zeyzal's competed, he's been fantastic, but the level that he's playing at, especially with Lost, who he's called the most aggressive AD that he's ever played with, this split has been really good to see.
Watching the spacing in that fight, that Lucian fight right there, was just beautiful. Like, he played that so efficiently to output damage and stay alive, holding his flash at the last second while still weaving in autos. Really cool stuff.
Well, this is why Lost is one of those players that a lot of people kind of forgot about, just because the last couple splits he was on a team that was towards the bottom of the standings. So people are like, he's not that good. I don't know how he's doing. That's just because he just wasn't on the best of teams. And we see what happens when he has a support that can really back him up like Zeyzal, how powerful he is as a marksman. And you called out, Cubby, how aggressive he is. Kangas, I like that you talked about his spacing and how well aware he is about where he needs to be on the map. And this is where, for Manui and Trevor on the other side, they have a Titan that they have to face off against this bot lane. Steve, what are your thoughts on it going initially?
I mean, I'm going to echo something that Cubby said earlier. If Cloud9 don't ban away the Seraphine comps, I feel like that's what Fear's going to lean into, because I don't think they're going to match the bot lane firepower. Thunder and Lightning is what we've been calling them, and they're definitely living up to that storm.
Cubby, you agreeing there? You think the Seraphine's going to be the play for Manui?
I want to see that taken away by C9. I feel like Fear have really earned that ban.
They should take it away.
So we'll see. I'm not exactly sure. I think that the keys for Fear, it really has been just having at least one lane of prio that Perry can play through or play towards. And really curious to see if Perry, him, and Tomio, both being EGP alums, can get the best of someone who's had a really good split this year.
I like to bring that up, but as we get ready for our first game here, a very hype series between Cloud9 Challengers and one of our best provisional teams in Cincinnati, Fear. Make sure in chat you let us know who you think is going to win, either C9C or Fear. Right now, C9C leading the pack on this one. I'm going to let you two take it away from here, get us into Champion Select, because I am so excited to see how these two teams will match up, the Titans versus the David versus the Goliath of our leagues.
We'll need to reframe what David means in Magical's perspective, because again, Fear are still towards the top of the standings. They are currently, are they tied for fourth place? Tied for fourth place, yes.
16-8, tied for fourth.
Yep, tied for fourth. So not that low in the standings, but I do love, we could see there in the community vote, how close it is, despite the fact that it is the #1 team in Cloud9, who have been dominating most teams they go up against. The fan sentiment around a lot of these provisional teams has been so fun to see. They are rallying behind these guys coming in, saying, hey, we don't have LCS at work backing, but we can still hang with the top dogs.
I think the Fears really embraced that mentality, and I mean, it's really aided them to get here. Also, the fact that they are willing to play their own things, I think, has been really, really big for Fear. As like Shochi on the Tryndamere, we see the Olaf and the Seraphine bans. These are champions that, teams are prioritizing things like Olaf, but what it means for Fear and Faisal and this team, they've earned a lot of respect. Not only just through some of the champions being taken away, but also their play throughout the league. When I was doing VOD reviews earlier in the week, I had Spawn ask me legitimately, the coach of TL, is Fear the best team in the league? A lot of teams in this league do respect Fear, the play they're putting out in the Rift, and I think that C9, they've done their homework. You know, they've given them some respect here in the pick ban, taking away some of the champs we've seen Fear be very successful on.
It's almost like watching the wildcard drafts, too. It's like, yep, okay, so you can kind of guess what team Cloud9's playing against based on the bans without looking at the right side of the screen. You can. This is Fear. So they're going to lock in, Cloud9's going to lock in the Rakan early. They're pressuring the Xayah Rakan lane.
Yeah.
Usually, we've actually seen Cloud9 favor the Xayah first before the Rakan, so Fear will just take the Xayah away from them.
Now, for Perry, it is worth noting that the junglers right now, Elise plus Malachi are taken off. Perry is 6-2 on the Sejuani, but Tomio's most played has been Vi, as he has 8 games in that as well, and his Vi is 7-1. So I'm actually expecting to see that. But we could see a swap, as of course Gragas has really risen in priority, being flexible, and we've seen it in 3 roles. I know it can be played in 4, given some support matchups too. I would not be surprised to see C9 take a marksman here and then hold the triple Gragas flex in the next phase of the pick ban, and it will be Kaisa for loss. So that old counter back to season 8 here a little bit, going into that Xayah season 8, season 9. So we'll see if loss is going to be able to pilot that one nicely.
There's a lot of setup for a Kaisa between the Rakan and the Gragas. Nautilus is available. Usually that's the counter into the Rakan that's being hovered right now. I wouldn't hate it because then it's kind of equal CC engage tools between the Sejuani Nautilus. You're matching the Rakan Gragas. But now your AD carry is more self-sufficient sustain from an engage rather than following up on the engage. So they might need to look for that somewhere else in the draft, and that is what they go for.
It's actually kind of funny because I think the person that plays the Nautilus and the Rakan match at the best in Challengers is actually Zeyzal. So we're going to have to see if Zeyzal can pilot around that one. For Trevor, I know that, Nautilus actually isn't his forte. In fact, this is going to be his first Nautilus game of the split. So maybe Trevor's been watching some Zeyzal VODs and knows how to play this one. A lot of it is the dredge line to interrupt that grand entrance. See if Trevor is able to do that. But there's going to be solo lane bans coming out. Really like the Jace ban. I feel like Diplex earned that one already with his play we've seen from his Jace in Challengers.
We've had a lot of really fun Jaces in Challengers League, and I gotta say, it's almost like we're rewriting the NA Jace narrative, where I get excited when I see it, as opposed to like cringe when I see it. Which
Spyrax, Flowers Claw, Jace, pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty
right. Good. But also the Swain ban. We have seen some mid lane Swain popping up, interestingly enough. So
do we see an Annie? Because the reason we've seen Swain be cropping up is the fact that it can be played into the Annie. The idea is that Swain, you just get levels, you build health, Annie can't one-shot you, and then you can just sustain throughout the fight. So wouldn't be surprised if we actually maybe see that, or maybe just taking away some of the blinds, as it is going to be Renekton taken. This does make for a lane that Sejuani can play through, but you are opting into being counterpicked already by that Gragas if Fake God wants to pilot that himself. And Fake God, he was playing Gragas like 13.1. So he's a very good Gragas player. Wouldn't be surprised if he takes this, but no, you're going to be flexible.
They can still flex it. They can still put it in the jungle. They could go for a different tank top lane if they wanted. That is surprising to me because I feel like the Gragas matchup is fine. You could allow Tomio to play something else, but they say, we just want beef balls around Lost. We were hyping up the bot lane and how well Lost has been playing. Seems like Cloud9 Challengers agree.
And this is pretty tough because right now the comp that Fear is showing is very low damage. So taking the Scion and Ascent. Oh boy, we have a Kled too?
Let's go!
Okay,
so,
is this Scion mid maybe?
Well, I think it's flexible. Honestly, they could swap those around depending on what Shochi goes for here.
Yeah, Diplex does play Kled mid. So we'll see. But this is something where Renekton loses into both of those lanes. So you have two winning solo laners already for C9 in this Renekton. Now you have a counter pick. We're going to assume this goes over to Shochi. He needs some damage. Okay, it's going to be the Taliyah. I got to say, this is a pretty low damage team. Taliyah's going to bring a lot of control to the fights, but it's one where Fear, a lot of weight's going to be put on Manui. That's going to be difficult. Again, how good Lost and Zeyzal have been in lane, outside of lane. Manui is going to have to really carry this game, given all the dive that C9 is showing.
Yeah, I am a little worried with what a Taliyah does, or what she brings to counter what Cloud9's trying to do. She can roam around the map, she can shove waves, but if she gets engaged on, she doesn't have a lot of tools to get away necessarily. And with a Kled, Rakan, Scion, guys, it's a lot of champs that are going to be trying to get on top of you. Xayah can deal with it. Taliyah can't quite deal with it. So yeah, this is going to be difficult for Shochi to navigate.
It's a dogpile comp here for C9, and I'm really excited to see if they can execute this. I will say, playing all this into Xayah, it's a tad risky, but I think that given how low the damage is for Fear and how tanky that C9 is going to get naturally, just given you have Scion, you have Kled, Gragas, I mean, this is going to be really concerning for Fear, I think, if they aren't able to get any early leads.
Let's see if they can do it, Kobe, because we're loaded on to the Rift. You can already tell how excited we are from pick and ban. This is not the dry, stale pick ban we've seen in professional leagues. We're getting some varied champs locked in as Fake God sees multiple members of Fear around. It was a 5-champ invade in the top half of the map, but they don't commit, and Fake God gets out just fine.
Worth noting that Fear got first blood in their last match earlier this week off of scouting in that 2-0 over wildcard. So it was actually that same play, going for something similar. C9 prepped for it. Worth noting, of course, that Kled mid will actually be taking Ignite Kangas. So
yeah,
my eyes, honestly, are on Tomio. That's a very aggressive summoner spell. They can attack the Taliyah. Gragas is really good at ganking mid, just given the body slam and all the angles that you can take. So I want to see how quickly Tomio gets involved in that lane.
It means that he can find kills quickly, especially with Tomio taking Dark Harvest Gragas. So we'll be going towards that AP build, blowing people up. The 1-2 punch. So Sochi, can you survive? And also, can Perry track the jungle, be there when Tomio's looking mid? Because I expect seeing a Kled that you can play one of two ways, especially with the Ignite. You can play into that lane, or just let Diplex hit level 6 and then charge elsewhere. Honestly, a lot of their champs can get around the map, because Cyan's kind of similar. So it's almost like the mid-top combo can just keep backing each other up. Oh, that's an Ignite early.
Kangas, my friend. This
Trevor.
Lane, this lane's being played very aggressively mid. As Manui gonna find a pretty nice trade here.
Okay.
It is 2 summoner spells though, burn from C9. Fear able to save both theirs, so a little bit of a health bar advantage right now to C9, but Fear shouldn't be too bad here in the bot lane. No, this lane for Diplex, it's all about going in, my friend. Now Talia does, help prevent that. You have ways to keep Kled off of you with the rocks and the flick, but it is one where Kled is going to be able to play up, and especially when Tomio walks mid, could be very scary for the Talia. So again, want to see how quickly Tomio can get involved in this lane. As if Kled gets ahead, he is so tanky and does so much damage in the mid game. It's a real problem for Fear to deal with. Actually pretty clever there. I liked how Shochi just used the flick to get that wave crashing so it bounces back. He doesn't want to have that wave or be overextended in this lane. He knows how scary it is against Gragas.
Especially at this specific timing. We didn't have any wards spotting out each other on the initial clear, but now you should have kind of an understanding. They're most likely passing towards the bottom side, especially with the trading that was happening aggressively there.
You can see how far back he's playing, paying that respect and understanding that given the Ignite, the power of Kled early, the all-in, very realistic here for Diplex. As Diplex digging into his bag of tricks a little bit, and there's the trade.
Yeah, Shochi gets the flick back. And he's just fine.
Well played here by Diplex. Nice sidestep there on the flip. Able to find the trap, and Shochi, again, will be under siege in this lane. Even if Perry shows up, I mean, this is one where Diplex, all he's going to do is lose Skarl, right? There is really no kill pressure here. So.
Oh, but Tomio. Oh, didn't stop the back. Maybe if he had quick enough reaction time, could have.
What would that be like if you're on the Rift, Just recalling with someone right next to you? You don't hear anything in the brush? Just completely gets away with it?
Yeah, they've reworked Aurelion Soul, so there's no more champs that you can spot from the brush. I kind of miss that, honestly.
I miss old Soul. New Soul is too linear. I'm not a fan. I'm sorry.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, you're just another scaling mage. It's too linear. The old movement mechanic with W, like you had to learn how to move on that champion specifically to maximize damage. I thought it was a really cool mechanic. Force players get better at the game.
It was very unique.
It was so unique.
Really no other champion did. But of course, we'll probably see some new Aurelion Soul eventually. We do have APA in the league after all. But let's catch up on what's going on right now. As no early action has happened on the Rift, Faisal is trying to get this wave to crash in. Got half a health bar, and Tomio's up here. They might be able to look for something funny. Nah, Faisal. Oh, that was a third shot. Come on,
Faisal taking 2 there. A little bit of an oops. Honestly, now that we've surpassed the early mid gank angles, Shochi was able to TP back. So until Diplex resets, there really isn't that much kill pressure here on the Talia. I think that C9, they're gonna wait till this Kled hits 6 and then maybe try make a play bot. There are no summoner spells missing yet on the side of Fear in terms of flashes, but Kled very good at surfing the map, just like Talia. Talia can follow, but Kled at this point of the game, again, very strong.
And now I want to see Diplex get out of lane. Let's see where he pats. Because honestly, on the first back, you could do something crazy, like just run bot lane instead, ult down there, and then walk back mid. But no, the wave is shoved mid, so will decide to go back towards that, as Dragons actually started up by Perry. So they're spotting out, hey, there's no teleport on this Kled. If they back, then that means they have to do the long walk here. This gives us a window.
So it was a worse reset here for the bot lane of Fear, but because they reset first and got that wave in, Fear actually takes the dragon on that timer, so
nice.
Good macro coming out from Fear. I will say that Lost Zazel, they do have item advantage in the strength of the bot lane at the moment, but Fear are able to get the dragon, and we'll see if they can maybe transition some of that to the Rift Herald. They will need another recall from Manui if they want to fight 5v5, and Manui will be a little bit unsafe if he's on his lonesome against the Kai'Sa in the bot lane, but that's kind of where we're looking right now, as I think the Herald fight for each team is pretty strong. But I really am going to expect Fear to likely throw down for that one, is I think that they get outscaled.
Yeah,
pretty difficult
and if you
in this
take
game.
Minion Dematerializer on support, that's generally a tell that that's the game plan. I mean, they used it for the Dragon push too. They can use it for the Herald push. It just lets you shove that wave so much faster to let your support get onto the map. So wouldn't be surprised. Oh, Tomio, top lane. Faisal does not have this warded out. We'll have to run back through the lane, but decides to try and get into the jungle. But the combo's clean from Cloud9 and first blood to Fake God.
Nice read from Fake God as
trouble. Diplex, okay, had the flash. He's fine.
All right, nothing burned there from Fear, so just able to find Diplex. But
okay,
nice
we're just
read.
having fun with it now.
Yeah, I mean, nice read from the Scion and Fake God. I really like that early ult to make sure that Renekton was stuck under the turret. Tomio commits the flash to make sure the CC is changed. That's a really clean kill onto the Renekton. And again, if that Scion starts to get ahead of this matchup, there's really nothing the Renekton can do to move him. And look at it right now. Scion has a kill. It's even CS. So that early lead, that priority already out the window here for Fear on the Renekton. He's going to be really strong at this Herald fight. But after that, Scion's going to be more useful in this game.
Fear have a window here that they want to make something happen. Jochi goes for another back. Picks up the Lost Chapter, and we'll use the Weaver's Wall to get into mid lane to help catch this wave. That means they would not have the Weaver's Wall to cut off an approach towards the Herald if they want to go for it first. I'm watching Trevor. It's a picture of big. Oh, look at that. Herald just had a shaky cam spawn. That's some
Shelly's
right
fierce
there.
this game. She is bold. She's strong. She is ready to go. As at the moment, I will say the vision really nice here for C9. You can see Trevor has 6 and just took a reset. He's going to be walking mid. Zeyzal will have to leech 6 off the next mid wave if they do want to play for this Herald.
All right.
They're resetting. Okay.
Okay, they are going back. Trevor's there first, so Manui will get ahead in CS if Lost joins at Herald. Lost is heading at bot. Zeyzal's heading to Herald as you look at the mini-map. So both teams are setting up for the objective.
So Fear can't start it now because they did spot that base from C9. There's a lane ward that Fear had that would have spotted both Lost and Zeyzal basing. So they're going to wait to see if anyone shows here on the side of C9 and see if it is indeed Kai'Sa showing mid. Now that Kai'Sa shows bot, Fear might be able to start it now.
They're heading up towards it. Already Perry is on the objective. Faisal has the top lane.
Well done.
Pushed first and access to the river. Fear played a pretty clean game
this is really
so
good.
far.
This was really good macro play from Fear because now Manui, he just gets to rotate bot. C9 can't cut off Manui. You can see Zeyzal's trying to do it now, so he's going to wait for Trevor. But Fear just out macroed C9 there off of bot lane resets and who rotates up. And Manui should be able to pick up the majority of this wave, so it'll only be one plate traded away to loss. Really well played from Fear.
I'm going to argue it wasn't just once, it was twice. It was the Dragon setup first, and then it was the Herald setup. So in back-to-back objectives, but Tomio going for the ganks. Looks for the second one of the game. We'll get flash out of Shochi.
I love when our observers tweeted us. We've got V-Flight on the case.
Shoutouts to Victor.
I mean, shoutouts to our entire
the people
production
want.
and observing team. Also, you know, helping us fill up the Twitter with the hashtag, which if you're tired of seeing our observers tweet at us, you can use the hashtag NACL on Twitter, and have your tweets show up on the broadcast.
Yeah, tell Magical how, bald he is.
Oh, hold on.
As Zeyzal goes in for the engage, that's big. Manui has to pop up the ultimate and gets out just fine. Actually lands the root onto Lost there. That was kind of surprising. So trades back a decent amount of damage. Charge from Diplex under the turret. No flash on Shochi, and Diplex gets the solo kill.
That's the Clyde band. You bleed out a summoner spell. Clyde can move forward. Not sure exactly how that one started, but I assume the Diplex used the ult to get through the flick, get through the rocks, and get on top of that Talia. As Diplex, again, reaching into his bag of picks that we know from his play in ERLs, and able to find a solo kill and a lead now in the mid lane. Big for C9. Again, as this game moves forward, we really favor C9's comp. So the fact they're up a little bit now, really good for C9.
Oh, Trevor stuck around. He actually flashes over the wall. Will only catch Zeyzal, who can get to safety. Jump back to Lost. There we go. Weaver's Wall from Shochi. Might just catch him, though. All right. Almost flicks back Lost. One more Q from Shochi should have it, but they just get lost. Zeyzal's out. Pickup kill at the Kai'Sa. That's big for Fear.
And I gotta say, I love the response from Shochi, because yes, that solo kill mid, obviously not ideal. But guess what? He has ult, he has TP. we could go mid and just keep the map sane, but no, we're going to go bot, get a ton of summoner spells out of C9 and find the kill on the Lost too. It's a lot of plates going over to Manui, who we said was very important this game, given the low damage profile from Fear's composition. I love that response and map play from Fear, man. This is a provisional team that is playing the map legitimately well against the most experienced team that we have in Challengers and our top dogs.
So where does... Okay, this is going to be the solo kill underneath the turret. I'm curious where Shochi teleports to. It was the tier 2 turret, right?
No, it was tier 1. He went bot, and then he cast the ult.
Okay.
So just able to find the pick
I felt
there.
like the Weaver's Wall came from behind the turret, though.
Yeah, you do spawn from behind the turret, you know, when you TP in.
Okay, yeah. All right, fair enough.
Well played. That's fine. So mid, we did see Shochi did burn his sums on the wave. Diplex was fogging, so that's where we found the solo kill. Then as we return back to live, it looks like that second dragon actually did go to C9 in the back half of that play. Still think it was positive for Fear, as they were able to find kills, find gold on Manui, and you can see that Manui actually has that Kraken Slayer finished up. So really prioritizing that tank busting, knowing that he has to do a lot of damage this game. I think that is the right choice.
We'll have a window here stronger than Lost, but as I say, that Lost also completes it back. As Cloud9 look to the map, Shochi still doesn't have flash or teleport. Flash from Tomio, the snipe! At max range explosive cast. That was slick.
Tomio's Gragas is a good one, man. I keep on getting reminders here. This is a part of the Tomio champ pool way back when he was on EGP in 21, and it's been a good look for him in this game. As I love what they're doing, right? You burn flash mid. We said that playing around mid was going to be important, given the Kled, given the Ignite pick. And Tomio doing a really good job of it so far.
A treat of a jungle performance. We've been highlighting Fear's macro play, their map setups, but Tomio has been arguably the more active jungler. Even if you can say that Fear have been, linking Trevor and Perry up for these objectives, doing these really slick things with waves, Tomio is saying, well, I'm just going to go for ganks. I'm just going to find kills for the team. Almost 100% kill participation is now the engage under turret. Zazel says, I'm just going to do it myself. Lost jumps in there. This is big. No, Perry picks up a double kill as Cloud9's bot lane gets a little overeager.
I mean, C9, they're going for that when they're down summoner spells. And I know that Manui took a tower shot. It was a really clever setup from Zazel, but Perry being there on the hover, it's a 50-50 if Perry's not there. But the fact he was means that Fear get more gold in that bot lane that's so important for them.
That's huge. It's a double kill to the jungler, but more importantly, it's the turret down as well. They get all the turret gold for Manui. The Xayah is now ahead of Lost on the Kaisa, and it's Cloud9's own doing, but Shochi might be in trouble himself. No, he's fine. It's just Tomio there. Actually, I say that. That's AP Tomio. Gragas just got flashed out of Shochi again.
That's really important because Shochi very vulnerable to those casks and the setup from C9. So I love Tomio, again, playing around mid, trying to get Diplex ahead and enable him to really set up in the sides. And now the great part for C9 at this portion of the game, whoever you put into Talia is going to win. And whoever you put into Renekton is going to win. I think that C9, ideally, they want the Kled into Talia, but even if Kled's into Renekton, especially given that Diplex has the Ignite, he wins that matchup too. So this Kled pick getting a lot of value here for C9, and if they're able to stretch the map, prevent Fear from making plays, they can get their economy back and then get to that mid to late game where we do favor their scaling.
And they're looking for another play mid now. We've got the lane rotations. It's now bot laners mid lane. Tomio still here, looking at Trevor. Explosive cast interrupts the depth charge into the turret, or the wall rather, and that's 2 kills picked up for Cloud9 off of another gank from Tomio.
I think this is some of the experience from C9 showing. Look at that cooldown on Manui's ultimate. It is still on cooldown. After that bot play, C9 knows that they make a fast play, they can get a really just a spell advantage, given that there is no ult from Manui, and so they take down the Xayah, turn that into a second Rift Herald, and C9 finds some gold back in their pockets.
And even Diplex is still winning the 1v1 against Faisal, who can't even walk up to this wave. So wave shoved in, Herald picked up, Cloud9 find a really big timer for that fight, and the gold is dead even.
He wins both, man. That was the value of Kled once that Renekton showing. Taking Kled plus Sion, they know that both side lanes into Renekton will be winning for C9. And C9 playing that really nicely as Diplex shoved out bot, roam mid. C9 get back on track. Even game at the moment. 50 seconds away from this Dragon Kangas. I think this would be really important, especially on the side of C9. And if they pick this up, it's already low damage comp from Fear.
I'd love to take a look at the gold before the Dragon fight comes up. So if observers can highlight that for us, because again, in the 4 games Diplex has played, averaging 1,035 gold differential at 15. I know we're a little past that, but I would argue, okay, no, it probably wasn't a full 1,000 ahead based on what we're seeing right now. So maybe slightly hurting that average. But Diplex still showing up here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the best position. It's not an ideal position for a player to be in when you're sharing time on the LCS team, but it feels better when you come down to challengers and you're still slamming people.
Again, we talked about the scenario for Diplex. All you can do is just play your best, right?
Yeah.
And it really feels like Diplex is playing damn well here in challengers. I think he had very respectable LCS performances. Really glad that he's continuing that here. Speaks a lot to Diplex in the head that he has on his shoulders. Not let that get him down. And at the moment, C9, they're keeping their heads nice and tight on their shoulders. That's a nice Herald to try and set up the second dragon. As Perry gets the cask out. That's big.
Yeah, that was almost a stun on the Herald before it charged. Big flank from Diplex here. Oh, Fear do not realize this.
Oh, Faisal's
Look where the
too.
Kled is. You can see him on the mini-map. He's going to be flanking around from the mid lane.
Look at Faisal as well. He's going around bot. He will be spotted right now, but here we go.
Okay, Cloud9 going big
Shochi.
C9C combo, and the meat grinder is up and running. Fear trying to get out of that one. Manui into the air and out of this fight. Faisal, the last remaining member from Fear, but they just did not expect Cloud9 to have the setup on them. They thought they were doing the hunting, but they just got aced 0 for 5.
Diplex, this Kled, it's been so good this game. The fact that he found the angle he did, as you called out, Kangas, that fight was over before it started.
And I guess Trevor actually did survive, so 0 for 4. We'll give him that one. Trevor limps away the last remaining member and will have to back underneath the tier 2 turret in bot lane. Yeah, I mean, look at how quickly this fight's over.
It's 2 damage dealers. 2 damage dealers for Fear. One doesn't have flash. Shochi's out of position because of where Diplex is at. It's a great engage from Tomio. He instantly dies, and then the fight's over. There's absolutely nothing that Fear can do. Everyone on C9 gets around the feathers from Manui as well, so that Rip can't do any major damage. Really, really well played by C9.
Really hard to walk up to the fog of war against a composition like this. AP Gragas will blow up your carries. Scion will out-tank your tanks. I feel like Fear's only answer there was to be there earlier to not have the, you know, fog of war situation that they're in, but they didn't have the Herald because of the earlier play, so that kind of forced them into that setup. And really
also,
rough. They take the bait, Cloud9 get the win.
Not only do you not have the Herald, but also you don't win sides because this Kled wins both.
Yeah. Things are starting to fall apart at the seams for Cincinnati. Fear, a very clean early game. We highlighted the first Dragon, the first Herald. It was slick how they set it up, but at this point in time, Cloud9 are in their element, and they're looking like giants.
20-4 in our league, moving into the last week as well. Looking, honestly, to solidify that #1 seed, Kangas says. Honestly, the top 2 seeds, I must say, looking at the standings, look pretty tasty, given who you're going to be up against the first round.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You want to at least be in those 2. As CLG, Faith, and FlyFam are presumably going to be the first round opponents in a playoff scenario based on the seeding currently in the season. So Cloud9 can hold on to that, and they should be expected to hold on to that. They're invading right now into Fear, so we might get some scrap around the red buff. Fear will just push Cloud9 off of that, say, no, we're not going to give you free things in our jungle. We will make you work for it still, but you're going to have to work a lot harder to come back from this game at this point, because Cloud9 are at their point where, like, I mean, we've highlighted it enough times already. There's just not many options for Fear at this point.
Yeah, there's a cleaver now in that Kled. So, as if he didn't win the Renekton matchup hard enough, it just got worse. Yeah, it's pretty tough right now for Fear. Again, there's no way they can get anything out of side lanes, and that's giving C9 full control over now mid to
So does
Baron.
this mean, Cubby, that the Fear puzzle has been solved? Just ban Seraphine, ban Olaf, and now this is what they bring to the table? Cloud9 just beat them in draft? Or is this speaking to a bigger picture of just how good Cloud9 are at playing the map?
I think that we have to give all the credit to C9 and how well they played the map. I do think that Fear, like, I think if I'm game planning against that team, I'm taking away Olaf and I'm taking away Seraphine.
Yeah.
Like, they've proved that they can play both those strategies pretty well. And no other team in the league is playing them. So, why give them something they're comfortable with when you haven't practiced against it?
Like, imagine this is Olaf instead of Renekton. Very different.
It is slightly different, but it's still not great. Yeah, I just don't think that Fear has enough damage this game. And saw that in draft, seeing that here in the game. And props to C9 for getting themselves to this game state. I do want to give credit to Tomio. I think that he really did help set up mid lane and make sure that Diplex had success on this Kled pick, because once Kled's off the ground running, he is a side lane menace, and if you're ever out of position on side, guess what? Your team gets engaged on mid.
His aggression early on, going top mid, always looking for gank angles, getting, even if it wasn't a kill, at least a flash. Tomio was giving up some of the early objectives, but was getting his team leads elsewhere, and those have snowballed into this current game state, which is a 3,000 lead. They're up a dragon with the next one spawning in a minute and a half. And Baron is on the table, but I don't expect either team to really... Okay, you know what? Right as I say that, Tomio just goes for it. Okay,
Kaisa does
I guess
shred
we're
it.
just on it.
Yeah, Kaisa shreds it. Gragas Scion can sustain it pretty well. And you can see C9 just trying to lay the trap. They don't have bot push, but they have everything else.
Trevor's a little behind here, so they're not going to have the Nautilus engage. It's going to be up to Perry, probably just a steal angle if Cloud9 stay on the objective. But Cloud9 are taking their time, so this actually allows Trevor to get here. Diplex on the flank right now with Zeyzal. Perry spots them out and will actually force them off. So Cloud9, they were just kind of playing chicken, but now they might be in trouble here. Tomio gets separated from the pack. AP, Gragas, explosive cast, thrown. Body damage onto Manui, watch for the flank from Zeyzal. Manui, frame perfect, jumps into the air, can output a lot of damage now. If Manui's alive in this fight, Fear can win it. That's a knock-up coming in. Tomio back in, Lost out of the back line, Manui's down! Lost has done it, and Cloud9 are reaping the rewards. Give him the triple kill, and that is an earned Baron for Cloud9.
Honestly, for Fear, I think this game was getting out of control. That was an okay setup for them, but C9, they're just better. As Zeyzal, he got the ult out of Manui with that flank, that angle he had, and then when he landed, once Tomio got his cooldowns back, found the Xayah, found the team fight win, and C9 now, they're going to wait to make sure they can get everyone baroned up here, waiting for Zeyzal to spawn. That's some teamwork right there.
Yeah, I like that. Also lets Diplex get onto the wave. Okay, he won't stick around for the full turret, but yeah, I mean, Lost... I was paying so much attention to Manui during that fight because from Fear side, they needed him alive, but watch Lost in this fight as well. He plays this incredibly.
It is a really nice start here for Fear, but again, the angle from Zeyzal. We're going to get the cinematic here as Zeyzal, he forces Manui to go airborne, and Manui did play this pretty well. Like, he goes airborne, he flashes backwards to make sure that he dodges out on the charm, gets a really nice rip onto Zeyzal that takes him down. And it's Fear at the moment playing it out rather well, but when Manui positions too close to the wall, oh man, Scion finds him. It's chained up. Oh, Manui's going to want that one back a little bit as that knockup from Fake God just made sure that all the cookies crumbled that Fear had going for them. Really nice play by C9, and C9 looking to wrap up this game now.
We highlighted that in Pick Ban. There's a lot of tools to enable a Kaisa. The Scion double knockup, the Tomio Gragas double knockup. Lost says, all right, well, I just wait for the perfect time to go in, provide all the damage. The composition is working for Cloud9. And with this Baron push, yeah, this is probably the final moments of the game. I don't see them needing to wait for much more, especially with all the engage tools they have. So Fear actually might be the ones to start off the engage. Glacial Prison, massive knockup from Fake God! Triple champ into triple champ from the Q and the ult, and that should just be game. Fear fought for as long as they could, but Cloud9 Challengers are inevitable, and they will pick up game one with incredible late game team fighting.
That bouncy house was pretty nice there from C9 in the back half. As C9, I really like their draft. I feel like the Gragas solo AP, the double winning side lanes into Renekton took away a lot of options for Fear. And C9, they played out the early game calm, hit their stride in the mid game where Tomio got Diplex ahead mid, and then went from there.
If you just looked at the game-ending score of 18-4 in kills and a 10,000 gold lead for Cloud9 Challengers, you would not get the full story of this game. Cloud9 Challengers, they had to keep their heads in it for the early game because Fear were pushing them, getting small leads here and there, but they did just that, and they pick up game number one. So while the players rest up and get ready for game two, we're going to send it to a short break and then bring back Magical to keep you entertained. We'll be right back after this.